You got a raise this year. Social Security added about $56 a month to your check. But here's the question nobody's really asking you straight. Did you actually see that money show up? For a lot of you, the honest answer is no. And today, I'm going to walk you through exactly where it went, using nothing but official numbers, so you can check every bit of this for yourself. If you're on Social Security, or Medicare, or both, this next 20 minutes or so is for you. Before we go any further, I want you to know something important. I'm not going to guess at any of this. I'm not going to repeat something I heard secondhand. Everything I share with you today comes straight from official government sources. The Social Security Administration at SSA.gov, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services at CMS.gov, and the U.S. Treasury. If you want to double check anything I say, you can go look it up yourself at those exact same places. That's the whole point of this channel. Real numbers, no spin. And one more thing before we dive in. I know some of these topics, especially anything touching Social Security's long-term finances, can sound a little scary in headlines. I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll have the calm, factual version of that story too, not the alarming one. Let's start with the raise itself, because it's good news, and it deserves to be understood clearly. Every year, Social Security looks at how much prices have gone up. Things like groceries, gas, and everyday bills, and decides whether your monthly check needs to increase to help you keep pace. That adjustment is called the COLA, which stands for Cost of Living Adjustment. For 2026, that COLA is 2.8%. For the average retired worker, that works out to about $56 extra showing up in your benefit each month. Think of it like a small cost of living raise at a job, except instead of a boss deciding it, it's based on a set formula tied to inflation. On paper, this is exactly what it's supposed to do. Help your check keep up with rising prices. Now here's the part that catches a lot of people off guard, and it's the whole reason we're talking today. At the very same time your Social Security check went up, something else changed too. Your Medicare Part B premium. Part B is the piece of Medicare that covers doctor visits, outpatient care, and things like lab work. In 2025, the standard Part B premium was $185 a month. In 2026, it jumped to $202.90 a month. That's a 9.7% increase in just 1 year. To put that in perspective, this is the second highest percentage jump in the entire history of the Medicare program. It's also the very first time the standard premium has ever crossed the $200 mark. Here's the piece that connects everything together, and it's something a lot of people don't fully realize. For most beneficiaries, your Medicare Part B premium isn't a separate bill that shows up in your mailbox. It's deducted automatically, directly from your Social Security check, before that money ever reaches your bank account. So picture it this way. Your raise goes in one door, and your higher Medicare premium goes out another door in the very same month, before you ever get to see the total. Your COLA raise and your Medicare premium increase are essentially competing for the same $56, and the premium gets first pick. Let's slow down and do the simple math together, using round numbers so it's easy to follow. Say your COLA raise added about $56 a month to your check. Meanwhile, your Part B premium went up by about $17.90 a month. Subtract one from the other, and you can see that close to a third of your raise was already spoken for, deducted automatically, before that check ever hit your account. And according to an independent analysis from the Center for Retirement Research at Boston College, this year's Part B premium increase consumes more than a quarter of the entire COLA raise for the average beneficiary, once you look at it across the whole program. That's not speculation. That's simply what the numbers show when you place them side by side. I know this can feel a little frustrating to hear, because on paper, a raise is supposed to feel like a raise. It's supposed to give you a little breathing room. But when a premium increase is baked directly into the same check, in the same month, it's easy to open your bank statement and think, wait, where did my raise go? You're not imagining it, and you're not doing the math wrong. This is simply how the two programs interact with each other by design. Social Security handles the raise, and Medicare's premium comes out of that same pot of money before it reaches you. Now, the premium isn't the only number that changed. There are also two separate deductibles you should know about, and I want to go through each one slowly, one at a time, because they matter most if you actually end up needing care this year. First, let's look at the Medicare Part B deductible. This is the amount you're responsible for paying out of your own pocket before Medicare starts sharing the cost of your outpatient care, like doctor visits or diagnostic tests. In 2025, that deductible was $257 for the entire year. In 2026, it rose to $283 for the year. That's an increase of $26 annually. Noticeable, but modest compared to the premium change we just talked about. Next, let's look at Part A, which is the part of Medicare that covers hospital stays. The Part A deductible is what you'd be responsible for if you're admitted to the hospital for each benefit period. In 2025, that deductible was $1,676. In 2026, it rose to $1,736, an increase of $60. Here's a simple way to think about the difference between these two parts. Your monthly Part B premium is like the toll you pay every single month just to stay on the highway, whether you use it a little or a lot. The Part A deductible is more like the fee you'd pay only if you actually take an exit and need a hospital stay. Most months, you won't pay it at all. But if you do need hospital care, it's good to know the number ahead of time. And just to be clear about scope, these deductible numbers apply broadly across Original Medicare. If you have a Medicare Advantage plan or supplemental coverage, your own out-of-pocket costs may work a little differently, so it's always worth checking your specific plan documents rather than assuming these exact figures apply to you directly. Now, here's something important. Not everyone pays that same standard Part B premium. If your income is above a certain level, you're asked to pay more through something called IRMAA, which stands for Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. Let's break this down in plain, simple terms. For 2026, if you're single and your income from 2024, that's the tax year Medicare looks back at, was $109,000 or less, you pay the standard premium, that $202.90 we already talked about. If you're married and you file your taxes jointly, that same threshold is $218,000 or less. If your income is above those numbers, your premium increases on a sliding scale. The higher your income, the more you pay in steps. This isn't a penalty and it isn't a mistake. It's built into the program on purpose so that higher earners contribute a little more toward the shared cost of everyone's care. Let me give you one quick, simple example just to make this land. Picture two neighbors, both retired. One has an income right at the standard threshold, so they pay the standard premium of $202.90 a month. The other neighbor has a higher retirement income, well above that threshold, so their premium sits higher up the sliding scale. Same Medicare, same coverage, same doctors, but a different premium, based entirely on income. If you're not sure which tier you fall into, the safest thing to do is check your own Medicare statement or log into your account at ssa.gov or medicare.gov, rather than assuming based on what a neighbor or a friend tells you. Let's pause here for a second and bring this back to the core point, because this really is what today's whole video is about. You got a raise. $56 a month, on average, thanks to the COLA. But Medicare's Part B premium went up by almost $18 a month at the very same time, and that premium is deducted automatically before you ever see your check land in your account. That's the tension sitting right at the heart of this story. And it's exactly why so many of you have told me your check didn't feel any bigger this year, even though, technically, on paper, it was. Now, I do have a separate piece of good news for you, and I want to be really clear up front. This is a completely different program from the COLA and Medicare math we just walked through. Don't mix these two things up in your head. Starting with tax returns for the 2025 tax year, there's a brand new tax deduction just for seniors. If you're 65 or older, you may be able to deduct up to $6,000 from your taxable income. If you're married and both you and your spouse qualify, that's up to $12,000 combined. This new deduction comes from a law that was passed in July of 2025. I want to slow way down here because this particular benefit gets misunderstood a lot, and I don't want that to happen to you. This is a deduction, not a refund. That means it doesn't hand you $6,000 directly. Instead, what it does is lower the amount of your income that actually gets taxed in the first place. Think of your taxable income like a pie, and this deduction is slicing off a piece of that pie before the tax rate ever gets applied to it. So the real dollar benefit to you depends on your own tax bracket. It's still real money back in your pocket at tax time, just not a flat $6,000 check showing up. And like most tax benefits, this one phases out as income goes up. If you're single and your income is over $75,000, the deduction begins to shrink. For married couples, that phase-out begins at income over $150,000. Now let's talk about something you've probably seen scary headlines about: the Social Security Trust Fund. I want to walk through this slowly and calmly, because the actual facts are nowhere near as alarming as some of those headlines make it sound. The Social Security Board of Trustees released their official 2026 report, and here's exactly, word for word, what it actually says. The retirement trust fund is projected to be able to pay full, scheduled benefits all the way until late 2032. That's not a typo, and it's not a guess. That's the trustees' own official projection, based on current law. So what happens after that point? If Congress were to take absolutely no action at all between now and then, the program would still be able to pay about 78% of scheduled benefits. Read that again, 78%, not zero. This is a projection based on current law staying exactly as it is, and it assumes Congress does nothing in the meantime, which is genuinely unlikely since Congress has adjusted Social Security's financing more than once in the past. Reports like this one exist specifically to give lawmakers time to act well before anything changes. Here's the most important part for you, sitting at home watching this today. This projection does not affect your benefits right now. Your check this month and next year is not touched by this projection in any way. Here's one more way to think about it in everyday terms. Imagine you sat down today and looked at your household budget 7 or 8 years from now and noticed that if nothing at all changed between now and then, you'd need to trim spending a bit down the road. That's not an emergency happening today. It's simply useful information. Well, ahead of time, that gives you a chance to plan and adjust before you ever get there. That's essentially what this trust fund report is doing for the whole Social Security program. It's an early warning built into the system on purpose, not a sign that anything is wrong with your check right now. So, with all of that on the table, what should you actually go do? I want to leave you with 3 simple, concrete steps. First, pull out your own COLA notice. Social Security mails these out every year, and you can also view yours anytime through your personal My Social Security account at ssa.gov. Second, check your own actual Medicare Part B premium on your latest statement, since your specific number depends on your own income, and it may be different from the standard amount we talked about today. And third, if you file your own taxes or work with a tax preparer, ask specifically about this new senior deduction, so you know exactly how it applies to your own personal situation this coming tax season. One more practical tip while we're on this topic. When you do sit down to check your own numbers, keep a simple written note of your COLA amount, your Part B premium, and your withholding side by side. Seeing all 3 written down together in your own handwriting or your own notes tends to make this whole picture click a lot faster than trying to hold all 3 numbers in your head at once. Before we wrap up, let's recap a few things that tend to get mixed up, because keeping these straight really does make this whole topic much less confusing. Number 1. The COLA raise and the Medicare premium increase are 2 separate numbers that simply happen to land on your check in the very same month. Number 2. The new $6,000 senior deduction is a tax deduction, meaning it lowers your taxable income. It is not a direct payment or a refund check. Number 3. The trust fund projection about the year 2032 is about the program's long-term math decades down the road, and it has 0 effect on the benefit check you'll receive this month or next month. Keep those 3 ideas separate in your mind, and the whole picture becomes a lot clearer. One more small note before we close. The Social Security Administration has reported that it delivered strong customer service performance in 2026, according to its own official releases. I mention that simply as context. If you do need to call or visit an office to check on any of these numbers for yourself, that's exactly what those services are there for. And that's really the whole story. Behind your 2026 raise, where a piece of it actually went, what's genuinely changing behind the scenes, and just as importantly, what none of it means for you right this moment. If this helped make sense of your own check, take just a minute today and pull up your own COLA notice so you can see your real, personal numbers for yourself rather than an average. And if you'd like more videos like this one, breaking down exactly what's happening with your benefits in plain language, straight from official sources, go ahead and hit subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.